It's such an honor being a father and being able to spend time with my kids. And I got to hang out with Walter, just me and him at a fire, and same with Charlie, just me and him at a fire, and it's really cool. And I was kind of showing Walter the proof of the existence of God and that he is good. And I asked him what came first, the chicken or the egg, and he kept saying, oh, the chicken. I'm like, but the chicken comes from the egg. He's like, oh, the egg. I'm like, but where'd the egg come from? He's like, oh, chicken. I'm like, what? And so I'm like, obviously it was created. That the answer is God, because the chicken always comes from the egg always comes from the chicken, so who created the first thing? And so then I started asking him, and then he kept going through it, all of it, all these different creations. And then I said, and what is a chicken? And he's like, oh, it gives us eggs. I'm like, so it's good. He's like, yeah, it's good. I'm like, even the coyote is good, because if it wasn't for the coyote, there'd be dead bodies everywhere. You need scavengers, right? I'm like, the coyote's good. I'm like, so what does it say about the creator of these things? He's good. And it was good, right? And he's like, totally sees it at 5 years old. And we talked about gratitude. That's why it's very important to count your blessings and say grace at dinner. Way more than Trinity arguing and all this stuff. Just every dinner with your family, say what you're grateful for. And something very amazing happens. You realize how much in your life is good, because our minds, and I'll get into the mental. Oh, and I know the evolutionists will say, oh, but it evolved. No. You can have a bacteria that is good, that has a 2-hour lifespan, and that you can watch 1,000 lifespans in 2,000 hours, and you will see no change. Like, that bacteria will never become a different life form. So when people say, oh, in a million years, no. Because, with the 20-year, 30-year generation of a human, you can do that with 2 hours with bacteria, and you will never see a single cell become multicell. You'll never see a change in its mitochondria or anything like that. It has been created. The eyeball could not come from sexual selection or environmental selection. It's not possible. And it was good is one of my favorite lines in the Bible. Yeah, and it was good. What do we know? Because everything we talk about, my son's like, how are mice good? And I'm like, well, mice are scavengers that can eat stuff, and they can aerate the soil, and they're food for this and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, sounds like a great fire chat. Yeah, and it's so simple. It's so simple. And so when you're grateful at dinner, you realize that 99% of your life is good. And you will have pain and you will have problems. But when you really train yourself to be grateful and to say, and it is good, you start seeing it everywhere. We're grateful for our health. We're grateful for our family, our animals. We're grateful that, our contractor was sick and now he's better. We're grateful that, Nana got to visit this week. Like, the amount of things to be grateful for is crazy high. And so then when things go bad or something happens, you see it as a challenge, or you see it as a sign to do something differently or to strengthen.